Oh yeah? Good. Okay. So we're pretty much done with the candle lighting. We'll move on to the start of Shabbat. And as we know, Chachamim learn on Yom Kippur, it says on the 9th day you should do a ta'anit. And then other places it says on the 10th day. So Chazal say in Masechet Rosh Hashanah and also in Masechet Yomah, you learn from here that you need to add from Chol to Kodesh. That means you got to start a little bit earlier. Okay, that's by Yom Kippur. That means you got to start the fast earlier. We learn from there also for Shabbat that we should add a little bit to Shabbat. That means it shouldn't be exactly 24 hours. Add a little bit. This shiur, this measurement of adding, could be a minute. As long as you add 1 minute to it, you have made that minute kadosh perfect. Okay, that's really not even a minute. I'm saying just the mashu, anything. However, we add a little bit more, a lot more. Sometimes. Sometimes we add 18 minutes, sometimes we add 20 minutes, half hour, 40 minutes, like we said before, as early as Plag HaMincha, which is an hour and 15 minutes before sunset. That's the shiur, that's how much we could. More than that, it's nothing. If a person says, I want to accept Shabbat 2 hours before, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and even if he says it, it doesn't go. Right? Good. One who accepts Shabbat, but he's just doing it on his own, on their own. Besides, Baruch Hashem, everything is done right early, and I'm going to accept Shabbat earlier. And he says it. He says, "Hareni mekabel Shabbat," or "Hareni mekabelet Shabbat." I am accepting Shabbat about myself. So beautiful. Baruch Hashem. Let's say an hour before sunset, everything was done. They want to accept Shabbat earlier. Why not? Great. Now something popped up, and they need to do something. They need to do a melacha. What can they do? Right. Once you accepted Shabbat, it seems that you can't do any melacha. There is a difference here. I'm trying to think of a good example. If I wrote any good examples. There is going to be a loss. Let's say there is they need to turn off a something, right? And if they don't, in Israel that would be a good example. In Israel, they have this the electric heater, right? Usually they use the dud shemesh, solar, but let's say it's a winter and they turn the electric. If you leave that thing on, it's going to explode, right? It's going to get ruined, and sometimes the whole containers could get messed up, and oh my gosh, you get water all over the place. Suddenly they remember, I forgot to turn this thing off. It's winter and I forgot to turn it off. What do we do? And they already accept the Shabbat. Now, being that they accept the Shabbat as a yachid, as an individual, so Isur Derabanan, they could do, right? Something that's Asur Miderabanan, they could do that. Let's say they want to turn off a light. They know that over Shabbat, the kids are not going to be able to fall asleep in the room. So with the light on, they could go ahead and turn it off, even though they accepted Shabbat. But being that it was an acceptance in an individual base, they could go ahead and turn off the light. It has to be a dire need, though. You can't just say, that was a joke. You can't do that. It has to be something that is definitely a need they could do. However, something that is a melacha, which is asur from the Torah, and there's no one else that could do it, they can't do it themselves unless they do hatarat nadari. See how it works? That means you got to find 3 people that they didn't accept Shabbat yet. So the question is, so let them do it. Let them do it if they accept Shabbat. But let's say they can't do it. You're the only one that has the expertise to do it. So, but those, if they accept the Shabbat, people that are in Shabbat, they can't do hatarat nadari. Once on Shabbat, you can't do Heter Nedarim. So it has to be that they didn't accept Shabbat. And they come, and you explain to them the situation. Listen, I'm stuck here. I regret. Had I known that I need to do this, I would never accept the Shabbat upon me. They say mutarim lach 3 times. Ve'en Kabalat Shabbat, and you have no acceptance of Shabbat. Once they do that, they could go ahead and do that melacha from the Torah. Okay? All of this that we said that you could do is only if you accept the Shabbat on your own. But if you accept the Shabbat with a tzibur, that means you went to shul, and in the shul they said Baruch Hu et Hashem HaMavorach, and you said Baruch Hashem Baruch Hu L'Va'ed. That is accepting Shabbat. Okay? Let's say you went to an early minyan, almost after Palag HaMecha, almost an hour before Shabbat, and the Shaliach Tzibur says Baruch Hu et Hashem HaMavorach, and you answered. That's it. You have accepted Shabbat at this point, and there is nothing you could do. You can't do Hatarat Nedarim, you can't do anything. You cannot do any melacha, not even a melacha derabanan. Forget about melacha d'oraita. Not even derabanan. Right? One who accepts Shabbat early, even if they did, was that clear so far? Now, these days, summertime, it is people do this a lot. They go to an early minyan. Early minyan, because whatever, especially if you have smaller kids and they're all going to fall asleep, Rabbi says that would be better. Like, what's the point? You go to an early, you go to a late minyan. By the time you get home, the kids are all asleep. They can't sit, they can't hear kiddush, they can't enjoy this properly. So without Shabbat, better person goes early if they can to go to earlier minyan, so that you could enjoy the seudah with children. That would be good. Now, this question always comes up. What happens when the husband went to an early minyan? Wife is still at home, they're taking care of stuff. When do they accept Shabbat? Do they accept Shabbat the moment their husband accepts Shabbat? Or no, they're on their own? What do you think?
On their own.
Yeah. Wow, I thought that everyone was going to say, together,
But aren't they considered one person?
Very good.
With other things you said that they're considered.
That's right. Excellent question. That is the question. The Rabbi has a lot written on this. There's a big argument about this, really. That some people say it goes. Really, what is mentioned in the poskim is like we mentioned before. It's sibur, and this only works. Let's say you live in a settlement, you live in a small town. Small town America also works. I don't know if you guys have seen ever, these small towns. In New Jersey, in Connecticut, or in Indiana, all these little small communities, they only have one shul, right? They only have one shul. It's the 20, 30 families, and that's it. So they only have one shul, and they go. If people in the shul accept the Shabbat, automatically you accept Shabbat. You can't say no, I don't want to go with them. It's one minyan, one place. Everybody accepts Shabbat with them. No matter when they do it. If they do it a half hour earlier, if they do it 40 minutes earlier, you have to accept Shabbat with them. So some poskim say, with the head of the family, it also works the same. If the head of the family accepted Shabbat, you automatically accept Shabbat. But many poskim say no, it doesn't work like that. It's an individual thing. If you decide, and nowadays we live in LA, how many shuls do you know? There's a lot of shuls. So therefore, we can't say, oh, you always go to that particular shul. If they accept the Shabbat, you go with it. It doesn't go like that. If the person says, no, I don't want to accept Shabbat yet, I still have some time, fine, no problem, you could do it. Now, so if the husband accepted Shabbat earlier, he went to the early minyan, they still have things to do, they could do it. They're not dragged after him. He's accepting Shabbat. The same thing with the mother. The wife accepted Shabbat. And she tells the kid, "Oh, I accepted Shabbat already. You guys can't do anything. You can't do anything." They could, even the kids. They don't get dragged after them. They accept Shabbat later. I mean, it would be nice, definitely, 100%. Don't get me wrong. It would be very nice that everybody would do it together. But sometimes it just doesn't work, right? Good. So once that happens, so let's say the mother, she accepted Shabbat. She said, I'm accepting Shabbat, Baruch Hashem. Oh, everything was done. Then suddenly she sees, oh, I forgot to do this. She could tell one of the kids. Like, I don't know, turn the headlight on, make sure this is going on, make sure this, push this button, do that, I don't know, whatever needs to be done. As long as you make sure that it's not, obviously we're dealing with that she accepted Shabbat earlier, but to make sure that it's not yet Sheki'ah, then that would be fine. They could go ahead and do Melachot. The same thing.
Straight, you can't tell them?
Yeah, of course, 100%. For them it's not Shabbat. For them it's not Shabbat at all, so no problem, directly. The same thing works the other way also, at the end of Shabbat. Right? At the end of Shabbat as well, if a person keeps Rabbanut Tam, right, and the other person doesn't keep Rabbanut Tam, 45 minutes later, they're doing Melachot. You could tell them, oh, do this, do that. You could definitely, straight, directly. You could tell them to do different things for you. It's not a problem.
Even to the husband?
At all. Yeah, even to the husband. Yeah. Husband to wife, wife to husband, they could do that.
What about the kids? Your own kids?
Your own kids usually say have to live with you. Usually they come out of Shabbat with you. The husband, we're talking that the husband already did have to learn. He already came out of Shabbat. If he didn't come out of Shabbat, then it won't work. Obviously, we're talking about where you know that the people already came out of Shabbat. You could tell them to do this and that. But usually, in most homes, if the husband keeps Rabbanut Tam, the wife also would keep Rabbanut Tam, or the children also would keep Rabbanut Tam. Then it doesn't work like that. Right? We're dealing with people that you know they're out of Shabbat.
But if both the husband and wife keep Rabbeinu Tam, but the kids want to turn on let's say now it ends so late, they're already sleeping before
Right.
Shabbat is over, but let's say they want to turn on their light to do something there. Shabbat is technically over, but not for us. Can we say yeah, it's okay for you to turn on the light?
Yeah, do it, but say Baruch Hamad Kodesh before you do that, right? Yeah, do that. Because remember, what he said that, I don't know if we discussed it, we didn't discuss it yet, that it's a chumrah. It's a chumrah really, because according to many poskim, it's enough, you don't have to wait for Rabbanut Tam always. Rabbi himself, sometimes because of the Shiur Torah, he wouldn't keep Rabbanut Tam. Although he was very adamant, he always used to say, everyone should do the chumrah, Shabbat, Yom Kippur, but if something would come up, he would. Yeah. Now, someone comes to shul and he wants to pray mincha, proper time, and he hears the early binyan, they're saying Baruch Hu. They're saying the Shaliach is saying Baruch Hu Hashem Mevorach. You shouldn't answer at all. If you answer, you accept the Shabbat. You can't say mincha, right? Because that Baruch Hu is during the week. It's not a problem. Let's say you come to the shul, and there's an early minyan. They're saying Arvit, and they say Baruch Hu Hashem Baruch. You answer Baruch Hu. Why not? Of course, you didn't accept night. Oh no, it's night now. I can't say mincha anymore. It doesn't go like that. But here we're dealing with Shabbat, and Chachamim tell us that Baruch Hu, answering Baruch Hu, is accepting Shabbat. And if you answer that, you have accepted Shabbat. So now what? You're going to say mincha of chol? It doesn't work like that. So what happens if he does answer? Let's say he says, oh, you know what? They're about to say Baruch Hu. I am saying it that I am not accepting Shabbat with answering Baruch Hu. He says, he makes a condition, he makes this thing, he announces, he says, I'm not accepting Shabbat. Baruch Hashem Baruch. It doesn't work. Making it tonight, making a condition does not help him. It's not going to save him. And therefore, what happens to this person? He would have to say Arvit with everyone, and then say another Arvit for Mincha that they missed. By the ladies, if they always say Mincha every day, they would say Mincha now too, they would have to do the same. But if they usually don't say Mincha, they say one prayer a day. It could be Shacharit, Mincha, or Arvit, whatever it is. Then they came, and they answered Baruch Hu. Oops, just say Arvit, because you don't usually say Mincha. So it all depends on what they normally do. Okay, this is because we're dealing with a tzibur, right? This is a tzibur that accepted. Automatically, if you answer Baruch Hu with them, you have accepted this. But if, let's say, a person on their own, they accept the Shabbat, so they don't lose mincha like that. We said this about before also. Remember, we said if a lady at home, she says, oh, you know what, I'm going to accept Shabbat now, and she accepted Shabbat, she could still say mincha because that was an individual acceptance, and therefore that's fine. Same token, if a person accepts a Shabbat on their own, It was on before Shabbat. Let's say an hour before Shabbat, they accepted Shabbat, and Baruch Hashem, they were saying Tehillim, they were saying different things, and then they are hungry or thirsty. Can they eat or drink?
Say it
Let's say
again.
one more time. Yeah.
They accepted Shabbat early on their own.
Yeah.
They said, I'm accepting Shabbat, and whatever they're saying Tehillim, Mincha, whatever it is, and they're thirsty. They want to
Yeah.
drink something.
Fine.
It depends. Very good. Up to Tzedek Chavim, they could. Up to Tzedek Chavim, they could eat, drink a little bit, no problem. But once it's Tzedek Chavim already, they can't. This won't help if they accepted Shabbat with the Baruch Hu in the Tzibur. If they accepted Shabbat with the Tzibur, even if it's earlier, even if it's not Tzedek Chavim yet, you can't. You cannot eat or drink unless you make Kiddush. That's fine. You could make Kiddush. Let's say you're very hungry, right? And the husband is coming, Baruch Hashem, they're schmoozing after the tefillah is over, and it's gonna be a while. You could go ahead and make Kiddush and eat. No problem. That a person could do. It's not an issue.
So they cannot, I thought it's better we don't drink anything.
No,
After
if it's not
candle.
Tzedek Chavim, if it's not Tzedek Chavim yet, and
You mean how
it-
many minutes after candlelight?
Not well. It depends when you're lighting the
18
candles.
plus 30.
If you're eating, 18 plus 30.
So you mean half an hour after
Almost.
candlelight? Is
Up
it half an hour?
to a half hour after,
half an hour you
the
can
person
drink
wants to drink, they
water?
could, yeah.
But
drink
after
water,
that,
drink
you
tea.
keep Kiddush?
After
No.
that, make Kiddush. After that, make Kiddush. If you want to eat, you got to make Kiddush.
Is it better not to?
No.
It's okay.
No, why? They should suffer. Someone wants to drink, someone wants to eat, Yeah, they could do that.
And you have to make a mezuzah too, same thing as like,
No, because you're in a place that you're going to be making Kiddush soon, then you don't have to.
there's not like a time frame where after you say kiddush, you have a certain amount of
I
time.
mean, if it's going to be 2 hours, 2-3 hours later, then you should have a Seudah. But if it's not, it's like within a half hour, 40 minutes, they're going to be here, then that would be fine. That's what a lot of people do. Like, a lot of people that have guests. And Baruch Hashem, their guests, for some reason, they're coming late. So it's the winter, business aren't closed yet that early. So they come like 9 o'clock. You are out of shul by 5:30. What are you going to do? And you're invited by your mother-in-law, So then the best thing to do is go make Kiddush. Go make Kiddush in the kitchen, whatever. If it's not nice, make Kiddush in the kitchen and even eat. Wash, eat. When they come 2-3 hours later, eat again, wash again. It's Shabbat. It's so. I was going to mention something. Okay, fine. The time of Ben Hashemashut. What is Ben Hashemashut? Ben Hashemashut is the time after the sun sets. Let's say 7:40. I think around 7:40, 7:45 is sunset nowadays, right? From the time the sun sets until 13 and a half minutes after, about, give and take a couple of seconds. 13 and a half minutes after, almost 8 o'clock, let's say, that time is considered Ben Hashemashut. Ben Hashemashut means literally between the suns. What does that mean? That the time is a question whether this is still day or already the night began. So that's the time which is, we are in a state of doubt, state of limbo, right? So being that it's that there's many halachot, we've mentioned this before regarding other halachot of what melachot you could do. Remember with driving, we said if a person is in the hospital, his wife gave birth, and during that time they're in the car, right? And a goy is driving, we said that's fine. There are different things that are going on. We're right now talking about your home, you accepted Shabbat, and you're hungry, right? So this is the reason why Ben Hashemashot, a person is still allowed to eat without making Kiddush, right? Once Shabbat actually began, that means it's Tzedek Chavim already, that means the stars are out after the 13 and a half minutes. At that point, the obligation of Kiddush comes upon a person. And it would be disrespectful for a person to eat or drink before they make Kiddush. That's the idea. It would be disrespectful for a person to eat or drink before making Kiddush. So there, make Kiddush. But if it's before that, before Set HaKochavim, before the stars are out, that's 13 and a half minutes after sunset, but if it's before that, you could eat, right? Even if you didn't say Arvit yet. Some people say, no, the obligation comes after you say Arvit. No, even if you didn't say Arvit, you could go ahead and make Kiddush right now, once it's Tzedakah. But if it's before Tzedakah, you could even eat without making Kiddush. Okay? So that would be, that's the cutoff. Once it's Tzedakah and a person is very hungry, and who knows when they're going to commence, then they could go ahead and make Kiddush. But if it's before that, don't make Kiddush, just eat. Good. Another part of we are actually this segment is about preparation for Shabbat. So there is the gabbai of the shul should make sure that the shul is sparkling clean. A lot of communities have a custom that they put the white tablecloth on every table in the shul, in the Beit Knesset. They put white for the Kabalat of Shabbat. There's a famous story about there's a famous Libyan family. Libya used to have a lot of Jews used to live in Libya, in Tripoli, in the city. And there was a famous Nahum family. They were very, very wealthy years ago. So his wife, her name was Rivka. She had this custom that she would go on Fridays, and her husband was one of the very important people, very wealthy, and a very important person. He was like the president of the main shul in Tripoli. It was like that. So her custom was, on Friday, she would do everything that she needed on Thursday for Shabbat. And come Friday morning, she would start. Run to the shuls, clean up the shul. Wash the floors, clean up the shul, make it sparkling clean. And then from there, and set up the lighting, make sure there's oil in all the lamps and everything. She would do it herself. They had maids, they had servants. She would do this herself. And then go to another shul. You see her on the streets on Friday. This was known. She would go from shul to make sure everything is sparkling clean. All the shuls are ready for Shabbat, and they have everything. One day during the week, whatever, she stepped on a rusty nail, and her foot, started getting infected and everything. She had a lot of pain. Come Friday, she didn't give up. Packed everything. She could barely walk. She was limping. And she was biting her lips so that no one should hear her sighing in pain while she's doing all these things. She had a lot of pain. But she went from one shul to another shul. She was really exerting herself to do this. And she was crying. The pain, it doesn't stop the tears. And then suddenly, she looks up, she sees a very, someone very mechubad, very respectful, with a nice, clean, white beard, standing in front of her. He says to her, "What's wrong? What is wrong with you?" She says, "I have an injury from this rusty nail and I have a hard time walking." So he says, "How come you left home then?" She says, "What do you mean? I have this custom, I have this mitzvah. I can't just let go of this mitzvah. I have to do it. This is what I do on Fridays." He says, "In that case, I don't see why you should not be healed." And as soon as he says that, she was perfectly fine. She started, all the pain went away, and it was good. She turned and she said, "Are you Malach Raphael?" He says, "No, I'm Eliyahu Hanavi." And I was sent, to tell you this, to bring you refuah shelama, and in this zechut, you're going to have a child that's going to teach Torah to everyone.
Wow.
And so it was. The famous Rabbi Nissim Nachum. Rabbi Nissim Nachum was one of the great gedolim from Libya, and he had both. He was a big Talmid Chacham, huge Talmid Chacham. He wrote Sefarim, and he was very, very wealthy. It was he would support many Talmidei Chachamim in his generation. Rabbi Nissim Nachum. Remember that name? That was a big tzaddik because of his mother. That's a famous story. So really, to make sure that Beit Knesset, the Knesset plays a very special central role for us, and especially when it comes to Shabbat. So a person has to be extra careful, and Now, there is a halacha that a person should kiss the hand of a Talmid Chacham on Shabbat. Big Mekubalim, they say, a person has to do that. It says in the Zohar that Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Abba, they will go ahead and kiss the hands of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. They say, the Chacham Ben Zion, Zichron Livracha, used to say to his students, go kiss Chacham Avadia's hand. Why? Because he's always writing Torah with his hands. They're very, very holy. That's what Rabbi Zion Abba Shaul Zichron Livracha used to say. And Rabbi would send them to Rabbi Zion to get a baracha, because he says he was a big Baal Yisurim, he's a big Baal Yisurim, go get the baracha from him. So it was they're always passing people around. But that's what it is. But one thing we have to be very careful on Shabbat, or anytime, halacha is in the Beit Knesset, we cannot kiss our children on the face, right? Because that shows endearment, that shows that they're dear to us, and in the Beit Knesset is not a place for that. Some Moroccans, they say we have this custom that they kiss people on the cheek in the shul, but big Moroccan Chachamim, Rabbi Yeshua Maman and others, they say no, it's not a kavod for the Beit Knesset, and if they want to do it, they should take it out in the hallway.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Isn't there we don't kiss nobody in the shul?
That's what we just said.
Yeah, but some people, when they want to kiss you, is it bad?
We should say, let's take it outside.
It's not covered up Torah.
Yeah.
No, serious.
Cover up the Beit Knesset.
Beit Knesset or Torah?
Beit Knesset.
You mean the Beit Knesset is...
Has
better
halachot.
we say?
Yeah, Beit Knesset has halachot. There's a lot of halachot that a person has to...
Oh, I thought because of the Sefer Torah.
Even if you're in the ladies section?
That's easier. That's a little bit easier. Because there's a mechitza that does make it easier. If a person could avoid it, good. Some people don't actually kiss, they kiss in the air, so that's easier. You don't show that endearment. But to kiss, let's say, one thing on Friday night, to kiss the parent's hand, especially the mother. Especially, it says whoa, that's a huge thing. That's a very, very important thing that a person should do. It says, where was it? We had. I'm going to jump to that halacha, which is amazing. Yeah, I could do this before. So first of all, the person has to make the table ready way before Shabbat, as much as they can, to show that the anticipation and the excitement that they have for Shabbat. Shabbat is coming. That means I can't wait for Shabbat. So they set up the table as much as they can earlier on Friday, or many times they could. Rav Pesach Kron told the story that from the Chafetz Chaim that Chafetz Chaim promised someone that if you have your Shabbat table ready Friday morning, this sickness is gonna go away. And I think we said this story before also, but I heard it from Rav Pesach Kron again, and it's
Is it okay to do Thursday night too?
Thursday night, yeah, we're ready Thursday night to do. Why not? But if you think it's gonna be dusty and everything, make sure you cover the plates and the cups.
What if you use your dining room table for breakfast in the morning?
No, then you can't. Then it's a problem. You do the other half. I don't know. It has to be practical. If it's not practical, then you can't do it. But if you have a special table that you eat for Shabbat, that would be perfect. Also, it says, it's brought down in, I forget what sefer it was, the quote from the Zohar. Zohar Kadosh says that a person should dedicate a special place in the house for the table of Shabbat. That means to find the best angle, best lighting, whatever it is, to be prepared for the Kabalat of Shabbat. That's could you imagine, this is like a wedding. Shabbat is like a wedding, Zohar Kadosh says. So, and also to have a special setting, Chinaware or whatever it is, silverware, all these things, for Shabbat. Gemara says Rabbi Nachman, the great Chachamim, he would clean up the house for Shabbat. He would bring the best things that he had, best utensils, best everything for Shabbat. He would say, if Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi would be coming to visit me at home, they were the great Chachamim, they were Kohanim, they were great Chachamim, they were coming to him, wouldn't I bring them the best things? This was his way of saying that I'm having a very, very important guest coming, and he would do it himself. right? So the earlier a person does it. Now, also after shul, the person, once the tefillah is finished, they shouldn't hang out and schmooze like a lot of people do after tefillah, because that shows, I'm too relaxed. I don't want to go make kiddush, right? So come Friday night, it says, everyone, Ben Ish Chai says, go, Yemaher, go right away. Person should go to shul, should go home and start the whole process.
How come they don't say it in Bet Knesset it's better?
I don't know.
No,
Beit
you know
Knesset
what,
became
if they
a
say-
socializing
if they say
place.
After 2-3 times, first time, second time going to be hard for them. But when the rabbi said, you know what I mean?
I don't know.
So it's going to be normal. Now they know when they come home they have to do Shalom Aleichem. So everybody knows they have to read Shalom Aleichem, they have to do Kiddush. So this is going to be the same thing.
They do say it, but I'm not sure
I
if
never
this is
heard
something
of it.
to say in public.
I
I've
come
heard it.
here in Torah.
No.
never heard of
After,
it.
when Rabbi
So-
says halachot in shul, he does it. I don't know, in public, that depends. You have to use your judgment. Some
No,
things
but
you can't
if they
say.
know how much is important, Hashem is waiting, Malachim is waiting.
Right. Some
When they-
things you have to weigh. Some things you have to weigh. Rabbis of the community, they have to decide what they want to do. I'm just telling you, here is a class, Baruch Hashem, and I know it's getting recorded also. But the best thing to do is, it says that a person should, after tefillah, should quickly go home and start making kiddush, because that shows how much it's dear to us. That I am sanctifying Shabbat the moment it begins, right? It says, don't even say Divrei Torah, even Divrei Torah, right? Just go home and start doing it. But again, different places, they have different things. I don't want to, thing. They say a lot of, Baruch Hashem, this is picking up a lot of places, before tefillah, let's say the long summer days, Baruch Hashem, we have a lot of time. Before tefillah, before mincha, there is a lot of shuls that they have a shiur. Before mincha. This way you go into mincha, nice and relaxed and beautiful. It's great, as opposed to rushing in. Oh no, I'm 5 minutes late, I'm 2 minutes late. They come before. I remember one time we were in high school, we were in yeshiva. A close friend of mine got killed in a crash. So in his zechut, that first year, all of us, all the friends, we came an hour before Shabbat, and we had learning before Shabbat began. So everyone would come before that, and would have the learning. All right. Anyway, as we said, there's always a very important thing to kiss the parents' hands. Very important thing. It's brought down, and especially on the Friday night. This is Kabalat. It's not like it's such a nice thing to do. This is according to Kabbalah that a person should and must kiss the parents' hand, especially the mother. Rabbi Chaim Palaji, chief rabbi in all of Turkey, right? He says, with this beracha and with this kissing of the hand of the mother, you are mevatel. The parents cast away anything that they would be upset at the child throughout the week. Maybe the child did something like that. It gets erased.
Wow.
It's a big deal. It's a huge deal.
What's the mother-in-law?
What?
Also.
Oh, I think so. That would be nice. That's right. That this is the reason why you give blessing to the children on Friday night, because that is the time that there is a special shefa, there is a special bracha that comes down, right? And the children can't do it because they're too little. The parents are the ones that could accept it and bring it on to the children, right? It's an amazing thing. And it does latch onto the kids because they're so pure, and the beracha that you give them on Friday night, very, very, very strong. It'll be with them. They could accept that beracha in a big way. So it says even someone who's married, and they live within the same city as the parents, to go. It's a famous story. Again, I have to go to Djerba. This time I go to Djerba in Tunisia. Rabbi Yeshua Bassis. Yeshua Bassis was the big rabbi there. Every Friday night he would go to his mother to kiss her hands. Right? Every Friday night. So one Friday night in the middle of the winter, it was rainy and it was windy and everything. So he covers his turban and he's running fast to get to his mother's home. He gets there, he's quiet. Usually there's a lot of noise, preparation. He says, maybe my mother is tired and she's resting. And if I open the door, she's gonna wake up. He stood under the rain, waited to hear her walking in the house, and then once he heard her walking, he goes in there, Shabbat Shalom, he's all dripping from the rain and frozen, kisses her hand, gets a beracha, and goes. This is Chacham Yeshua Basli, this is no joke, it was huge. It was huge. And it says in the Gemara that that two malachim that are following a person, on Friday night when he comes from shul, one is a good malach, one is the evil malach, right? When he comes home and he sees everything is beautiful, everything is nice, the candles are lit, the table is set, and everything is beautiful. The good malach says, Yehi Ratzon, may it be the will of Hashem, that next week it should be like that. And the other malach, he has no choice, he says Amen. Chas v'shalom, if not the other way, the other one will give him a beracha, and the other one will say Amen. And this is, Baruch Hashem, we should always have the thing. And that's why we say Shalom Aleichem. When we say Shalom Aleichem, this is something new. Shalom Aleichem is a poem that was written later, and we say it. Somehow the person that composed it has a huge zechut. That this poem that he says is pretty much accepted all over, and then he's more of Eshet Chaim himself from the book of Mishlei, also we say, and so on and so forth. These are important things for the kiddush. Really, if a person they don't want to do it, they don't have the custom and everything, they don't have to do any of this. They could just go straight to Vaychulu and do kiddush. But these are kabbalistically, of course, extremely important to bring the shefa of the kiddusha onto the table.
How about Mizmor David?
Yes, for sure. Sephardim, we say it, but I'm saying you don't have to. That's what I'm trying to say. You don't have to.